Thank you for tuning in today. I invited back James Payne for another discussion. At first we done fatherhood last year. Just a few weeks ago we did manhood. Now it's an interesting topic, and we'll talk about the approach system and how a man should properly approach a woman in a respectable manner. We'll discuss confidence and fear, and also important message for young women and men concerning careers, achievement, love, and relationships. And we'll also be discussing manipulation and emotions, and also to eliminate negativity from your relationship and to unlearn and relearn. This is Relationship One-on-One.
Good evening, good morning, good night. All right, see y'all later. Hey, YouTube. I got my guy James. Well, I can't say guy no more. Say second cousins. I don't really honestly, I just picked him up like last year. He was, I don't know, he was just playing with his own doo-doo. I had to help him out. You know, what would Jesus do?
There's good nutrients inside of that. So. That's a good question. How's the appropriate way a man should approach a woman? Well, before I step into that, I do want any woman to understand just this one piece of the perspective. So depending on the environment, let's say it's a club or just a function, women do get dressed up to receive attention. That doesn't mean negative, but attention. And in most occasions, if a man does approach them, it's because whatever their ensemble they have on with their physical features is what got him to come over there. But that does not mean a man should come to you disrespectfully, degrading, or in any sexual connotations. Mm-hmm. For example, hey, that dress make your cheeks look smack. You know, like something like that's disrespectful. Mm-hmm. A woman didn't necessarily pick that dress for that reason. She picked it probably because she liked the color. You know, so how should a man approach a woman? We have to first understand the basics. What is the purpose of a man walking up to a woman? Now, nowadays, men only approach women for one thing, sex. So they always tend to come out with sexual connotations. I would want to say this. I would want to say this specifically to a woman. If a man does approach them with any sort of sexual connotation, that is a man who they should push away if that woman's intention for relationships is marriage. If you accept that kind of compliment and or conversation, you are opening up the door and unintentionally giving the man the perspective that you're okay with just sex. Yeah. Right? So how to approach is kind of it's a good question, but there are layers in behind it. But in my opinion, the way a man should always approach a female is both confident and direct.
Why is that?
With humility.
Why is that?
So a woman never wants a man who's unsure of himself. So if you approach a woman in somewhat of a shy fashion, you're going to give a woman the thought process that she may need to carry this relationship because you're uncertain. So you want to approach her confidently. There's a difference between that confidence and arrogance. Being arrogant is walking up talking about yourself like, woman, I know I look good and I make you look better. You know? It's like, I know I look good. And I know I can get you at any moment that you want. That's more arrogant than confident. A man that is confident, especially when he's looking at a woman, is like, that kind of woman and how she's dressed is someone who I would see as a wife or my mother or the mother of my kids. Yeah. You see how a confident man will immediately put a title on it, like, that can be my wife. Yeah. Arrogant man, like, that could be my baby mama. Yeah. That could be my side piece.
That's what it's like.
So it's like that can be my side piece. That can be the person who I get rides from, the person who I know I can have sex with at any moment. So that's the confident side. Very direct, which means walk up to her, give her a very you look great in that dress today. My name is, if it was me, how you doing? My name is James. I just wanted to let you know that you look fantastic in that dress today.
And cutie!
What?
I'm sorry.
You goof troop. And it's just like, I would love to have a conversation with you just to get to know you a little bit better. That's
Should we role play that?
not at
Like
all.
I'll just I'm a man here. We both men. I'm just saying like how. Let's do that. I'll be the female and you be. Come on, James, for the sake of the tube. All right.
You do got the long hair.
Oh man, I shouldn't have said that.
Oh,
I'm gonna
man.
delete that scene. Go ahead. We're gonna just how it should be. I'm a sophisticated woman. I'm a man, but I'm just saying we're gonna just just for this storyline, sophisticated woman, and comes around. So all right. So give a demonstration on as an example of a disrespectful individual and someone that is shy and then polite.
All right.
Okay, so I'm gonna act like a female. So, like selfies and.
How you doing? How you doing? You looking kind of sexy in that daggone dress over there. You got any kids? You got a man?
No, that's disrespectful.
That's a man.
So that's how y'all feel? Jesus, whoa.
No, so it's just like, that's that disrespectful and that arrogance. If a man approaches you in that attitude, is just where he starts to hint like, do you have a boyfriend or do you have this? He's already trying to somewhat hint at sexual connotations.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out if you got something to lose so I can do some stuff. You know what I'm saying? So that's the disrespectful way. If it was a shy guy who walks up to it, it's just more like there's a lot of ums. There's not a lot of eye
Like uncertainty.
Yeah, you'll hear a lot of ums. You'll hear there are not a, for instance, hi. I just wanted to come over and say hi. Like, you look nice. I just want to say you look nice. Okay, bye.
Right.
That's more shy and nervous. You know what I'm saying? That's more shy and nervous.
They can still pull a game because they're confident enough to actually
play it.
You know what I'm saying? But that this I wouldn't consider. Would you consider him weak? I don't think he's weak.
But see, that's the thing nowadays. Like that's why I was mentioning up front. If a man somewhat approaches size, sometimes you can give a woman a false mentality, like she may have to carry that relationship.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, why is it that older men are more modest towards women?
So, the one thing we got to understand about older gentlemen is they've been through a lot more than the younger generation. So they have more experience they have more experience in what does and what does not work. Also, when you become older in life, you already are set on knowing what you want.
So you cat daddies?
I'm done. No, but it's just like older gentlemen are already set on knowing what they want. They've been through a lot of stuff in their life. People who are usually, roughly nowadays is kind of like 27, 28-ish and under.
Yeah.
They're more in that experience phase. I haven't experienced in a lot, so there's a lot of mistakes that's made. But when you get up to a gentleman who's like, I want to say maybe, I'm going to be honest, say like 35 plus, 40 plus, they've been through a good scenario of a lot of different things and they're already set in what they want to accomplish, if not already accomplished it. They get into that mentality when you're 40, I'm too old to be, out here in the streets trying to look for a female. I need a wife, I need to settle down. They have those thoughts already set. I got my job, I got my career already set up. I need somebody to fulfill this with me. They've already been through those scenarios. People on the younger side are in the midst of learning all of that, and they're not quite there yet. So that's to a degree why older gentlemen have that humility already inside of them.
Question for James here. What advice would you give to young women out here concerning marriages, relationships, falling in love, and guys?
So, are we saying?
Speak up.
Are we saying?
Speak up.
What
I
age
said.
group? What age group are we speaking about?
Did you hear what I said? And this is what. Sorry, sir. No. Middle age, high school.
So, basically we're talking about high school through what, mid to late 20s ish, because that's, let's assume that's more of the developmental versus experimental phases and stuff. So being a father of daughters, I'm going to speak biasly, one-sided. So while my daughter is in high school, from that 14 to 18 years old,
oh man,
her head should be 100% on building a foundation of a career, and also giving a man something to chase after outside of her cat. Okay? So I'm speaking biasly on that. Unfortunately, it seems like in most scenarios, especially in the teenage years, parents sometimes tend to lose the direction, because that's an area where they're starting to develop and they're starting to learn. And instead of being more accepting and teaching still, they tend to be more combative. I taught you better. You need to do this, you need to do that. And they need to remember, when they were at 14 to 18 years old, that was more of a rebellion. That's what a lot of people call as rebellion. I like to call that the most learning you're going to get for an adult, because you make the most mistakes. Unfortunately, here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, that, you know, the teenage pregnancy is pretty interesting right there. But it's just people tend to lose that particular dynamic. So in between 14 and 18, the best advice I would say is, honest to goodness truth, give a man something to chase after. And the best thing that you can do is honestly keep your head in the book, so you have your career already established. Because if you give them something to chase after, you also give confidence to yourself not to deal with the bottom of the barrel. You're only looking for the top echelon, who's either on the same path that you are or can actually push you to be greater. You know, also in that particular time, I ask the best advice I can give a woman is to pay attention to the signs and stop silencing them. You know, in some of the most cases, some women may get a notion in their mind where this dude might not be the best thing for them, but they kind of get that mother mentality where it's like, I want to change them, I want to help them, and unfortunately, you end up like a dirty rag from a person cleaning out a fireplace. You try to fix something.
Fireplace right there too.
Right, but they try to fix something that they're not supposed to be fixing.
Go clean it.
They're trying to fix something they're not supposed to be fixing at all. You know.
When you say, would you say, like, when you're talking about chasing after something, giving something to chase after, do you think that's like a form of manipulation where, like, they seek the attention? You know what I'm saying? And maybe them getting it from the right person, it's like now they want to play with this individual's emotions.
So, by chase after? Not. Oh, I know he liked this, so I'm going to use this to manipulate. It's setting the standard. That's what I mean, chasing after. The standard, the word standard means bare minimum, basic. That's what I'm asking you to chase after. So if you want to set the standard for them to have the same level of motivation, perfect. Same mentality of growth, perfect. Things of that nature, having this, being on the same wavelength of what people are saying right now. That's what I mean by chase after. The manipulation is when things come in there. That's like, all right, I had sex with him and now he's addicted to sex and I know I can get A, B, C, D, E, F, G out of him. That's a different ballgame. That's nowhere near what I'm specifying. So thank you for asking that question. I'm basically saying set the standard. If you want a man to come to the table with the bare minimum, that's the standard. That's what standard means. You have to have at least this. That's what you need them to chase after. You know what I mean?
Chase it.
I mean, at most jobs that people work, you don't get benefits until your first 90 days. I know Steve Harvey said something like that, but that was a very legitimate thing. You don't get any benefits until you work at least 3 months, but he was specifying sex. I'm saying, and regardless or not, you need to have that standard set. And I'm not specifying when it comes to sex a 90-day situation. I say abstain until marriage. That's what I say, although I didn't. I didn't.
Better hold that. Close the legs into the ring.
Don't you open it. You hear me?
No. You're just going to put your whole eye in the camera. At the end of the day, that's what I'm going to encourage. Is it practical? Yes. Is it difficult? Beyond. Because your body goes through all of it. I'm still going to suggest for that to happen. But I have to be rational and I have to be honest about it. Especially here, and 83% of the time, There's no abstaining.
Yeah.
They really kind of make sex the goal. Unfortunately, some women make sex the goal. I'm going to put him through all of this, and then I'm going to give him this so he gets a reward. The reward, honestly, should be the ring. The reward isn't your box. It isn't your cat. That should not be our reward.
Wait a minute. You called it
A
box,
Yeah, it's
and
a
then
box.
it's a cat.
Yeah. Yeah, it shouldn't be a cat.
That's what we do in Milwaukee. We give things names.
Everybody call it the box. They call it the Pandora's box because it's like if you treat it the wrong way, evil comes out of it. I mean, hey.
You know what I call it? No.
Oh man. But no, it's just like they should understand that their box is not the trophy that a man should seek after.
Yeah.
Period. That'll be more between that 14 and 18-year-old. From the 20 to 28, well, let me say 21 to that 30 range. So let's say 21 because that's basically when you're legal. In most occasions, most women are already seeking a specific career. They're kind of in that zone of where they want to establish something. They want to make sure that they have something there. The best advice I can give them then, if they're seeking a relationship, is never take the role of the mother. That's the one thing most women always find themselves doing.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it's them who make the decision to do it and not the men.
Yeah.
Once again, that goes back to that. That's kind of like the same thing with men in that hero mentality.
Yeah.
I want to save this. I need to build him up. No, you don't. If you already had that standard set, you know he has at least what you need to be content.
Yeah.
The rest of this stuff that he brings to the table is what's then going to make you happy. However, if you feel if you're in a mother stage where you have to build a man up to your standard, you're already at a disadvantage. You should have left that relationship a long time ago. Don't care what anyone says. You should have left that relationship a long time ago if you have to build a man up to the standard that you already set.
Yeah.
That means you already reached under your standards. That means you were desperate. That means you were not patient.
Yeah.
Because you felt your standards may have been too high or something. That goes back to our other video in regards to the difference between an acquaintance and a friend. You had those acquaintances who saying you're always going to be alone because your standards are too high. The standard, how can a standard be high and it's the basics?
Yeah.
A man should have the basics of, and we talked about this in Manhood, financial literacy. God bless you. Cultivation.
All of my shoes?
Yeah.
Man, jeez.
Thank you.
All right, no
I
problem.
appreciate it. But financial literacy, cultivation, those basically are two of the top two things that you need. You need to understand what your focus and your drive is, your purpose, basically. Those things a man should already have established, and he should be able to compliment a woman afterwards. If a woman has to bring a man up to the standard, she's already at a disadvantage. Let go of those relationships, woman.
Boys. Yeah, we was one too. 20 years ago.
You probably more about 45, 50 years ago.
That's
old.
bogus.
You're old, man. You gotta understand you're old.
Young men. That's all we got to say. All right, next subject. But I want you. What advice would you give young men the same way as you gave young women?
So, 14 to 18 and young men, it kind of touches on the last video. Understanding who your friends versus acquaintances is, and make sure you have more friends than acquaintances, because friends will always guide you to be better. But when it comes specifically to a relationship, between 14 and 18, there are 3 things a man should establish and have thorough knowledge on. The first thing is what his purpose is. Figure out what you want to do with yourself.
Purpose.
Number 2 is financial literacy. Learn how to make, invest, save, and spend money. Also manage it all in one. And then the third thing is how to cultivate. Learn how to build something and bring out the maximum potential out of nothing. Farmers take dirt plant seeds and make crops. The nothing part is the dirt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
However, they take that dirt, they till the ground, they make sure it has enough air, it has enough mineral and nutrients. They make sure they plant only when the sun is hitting it just right, and they water it appropriately. However, they started off with dirt. When it comes to understanding how to build the woman that's built for you, not for the world, not for your dad's approval, for your mom's approval, for your brother, sister's approval, but specifically for you. You have to learn how to cultivate. Young men, especially in that age, we get caught up in the facade of trying to have these show-off females. Like, hey, look, I'm talking to her over there because she can probably be one of the most beautiful women there. And then you're over here frustrated and you don't understand what's going on at the end of the day because there's so much stuff that she probably do not know and you don't know how to build her up. And then you just give up.
Yeah.
Because she was a showgirl. She wasn't nothing permanent. You wanted her there just for the giggles. Just because I said I did it. That's not the right way to do it. When you're cultivating something, going back to the farmer, farmers have that land their whole life building it.
Yeah.
I.e., you see how I'm speaking about marriage. I'm not saying for people to be married at 18. I'm just saying they need to understand how to build it up because it takes work to be in any relationship. Marriage is the hardest working thing, period, but it takes work. So you have to learn how to cultivate. When it comes to a man who's in between that 21 and that 28, 29 years old, same thing as I said to the women, they should not be, their trophy isn't their box. A man's trophy should not be his tool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
His toolbox, like
I'm
screwdriver.
I'm talking about his baby maker. It shouldn't be that.
Oh, it's nuts!
Yeah. You know, because a lot of men at that time take a lot of pride in having another notch in the belt because they try to kick it with their friends. You know, I bagged A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Like, I'm out here. You know, my girl, they start putting the trophy and the crown on they man parts. That's what they do. When truthfully at that same exact time, in between 21 and 28, you should understand and establish how to hold down a household. That doesn't mean just taking care of bills. That goes back to financial literacy. If the lights get cut off one day, what you gonna do? If your car break down one day, who you gonna call? Do you know these things? How to maintain a functioning household is in between that 21 and 28 years old, which means you have to actually start thinking, when I do get married, how would we like to run our household? But you have to start thinking about a functional household. How should you run it? Ultimately, like most, because 21 to 28, 9 times out of 10, except for some anomalies of people who've been on social media, made billions of dollars by the time they was 19, you're going to be in an apartment, maybe a duplex. That's when you start saving for a house. That's when you start planning what your house is going to look like. Do you want kids? How you want to build it up? Like I said, that goes back to that financial literacy part that I was talking about again. So at 21 and 28, during that particular time, you should really, if you already did the first three things throughout that 14 to 18, and between that 21 and 28, how to manage and maintain a household should be like your area on what you need to do. And then when it comes to seeking out a woman, you want to seek out a woman who will challenge you but is not combative.
What do you mean by that?
A woman who will not necessarily, like if you come to the table with everything that woman needs, the challenge that I mean from that woman is she will always encourage you to stay on the pedestal that you built. Notice that I said encourage. When it comes to being combative, that's basically when a person is trying to usurp a role. I can't trust him, I'm going to do it myself. This man always has an excuse, I'm going to do it myself. That's trying to usurp the role of being the man. That's combative. That's bumping heads. Challenges are actually a good thing. That's basically going to the weight room and one day you bench 220 and you want to bench 230. Even if you get it up halfway, it was challenging. You tried it and you're going to keep doing it. Challenges are not a bad thing. But that's, when you challenge somebody, you still stay in your particular role that you're supposed to be in.
Yeah.
So you want to seek out a woman who will challenge you but is not combative. Those are usually the good ones, kind of like Sarah. Sarah and Abraham.
Sure. Oh yeah, yeah.
You know, and for those you know, there's usually 3 women who, in my experience, men of God always reference when it comes to women who they want their woman to be someone like. It's usually Sarah, Ruth, and Proverbs 31.
Why Sarah?
Because Sarah was that so I'm gonna say it, but I want to make this analogy. Women are always characterized as a pillar of strength. Men should be characterized as pillars of endurance, because a man has to be strong through long periods of time. When you're strong, that means you can hold a lot of weight at once. You can prove your strength. The strongest man contest, what are they doing? You do have endurance things, but they're showing how strong they can push up a lot of weight. Women can take a lot at the same time and don't break, but men have to endure forever. They have to endure during it all. You have to show that endurance. But the reason why Sarah is because when it came to Sarah and Abraham, Sarah was on his heels. Yeah. Sarah was actually on his heels, but never in a disrespectful way. She referred to him as king. Lord. Yeah. No, she referred to as King, Lord. She referred to him as that.
Ladies, you know I'm about to say, right? You call your husband Lord and King.
I'm not. Listen. Call him as it may, but she respected him as the head of the household. She called him king and she called him Lord. She respected his authority. She respected him to literally make the best decisions for the family at all times. However, if something didn't line up...
However, did you say however?
Yeah.
I didn't expect that one.
I was going to say, however, if there was something that he did outside of what he was supposed to do for the family, it was a private and personal discussion. That's also quite key. It wasn't a public display. Yeah. There wasn't a lot of people who had input on it. It was between husband and wife.
What would you say if people that's allowing other folks to get into their relationship, is that a good thing or is that a bad thing? Could you elaborate on that for us?
It's both.
How is that both?
Because too many people have opinions on what their perfect relationship should be like. Sometimes people will put their own rules into your relationship. And it doesn't work between you and your husband. However, you're trying to appease the masses. Yeah. And that tends to break down the relationship that was practically quite solid because you want to appease everyone else. On this day, choose who you shall serve. I know that's talking specifically about God and the world, but if you are married, you do know that the two are now one flesh, one in one. That means you need to have a like-mindedness, which means when it comes to certain situations, it should be husband and wife. However, if there's a husband and wife combativeness and there's no resolution, here's the opposite side. That's, once again, when you have the friends, i.e. the very close-knit of people who you know are applicable to your situations. So if you're going through a financial situation, don't go to the dude who having money problems too.
So when it said like seeking wise counsel.
Seeking wise counsel. You know, wise men, the definition of wise men are people who have learned from their own and others' mistakes. Yeah. It's not just their own, which means they pay attention to their surroundings and they receive all of that information. They take it in and they learn, they grow, they evolve. They don't just sit in the muck. So, like I said, it depends on who you allow in your relationship. If you're allowing Facebook or Instagram or YouTube, for instance, because there's a lot of YouTube families on there and you want to have that family on YouTube dictate what your relationship should be like, it's counterproductive and it's going to be something that tends to break down and destroy. However, if you have your circle of individuals who has only uplifted you, somebody who can count on it, and it's agreed upon between you and your spouse, which means you're not going to them and behind your spouse back, and then vice versa. It has to be agreed, which means we're coming to the table with our dirt and we're willing to listen to whatever advice. Notice how I'm saying we. That's a different ball game. Yeah. But unfortunately, the way social media is, it does have a good part on why there's a lot of destruction in relationships. So it's counterproductive.
Scripture in the Old Testament and New Testament, it says that a man should leave his mother and father and cleave to his wife, and them two should become one flesh. So in order to cleave, you first have to leave. Why?
Can you explain to them what cleave actually means? You know, some people don't know what cleave means.
Cleave.
Explain to what cleave means.
In order for me to get on my own and really make progress and be successful, I have to leave it alone and actually come together and actually yoke, or some people would say cling to, in a more positive manner, because some people don't like the word cling, you know, just all sticky. But this is more of a closeness with your wife, leaving those things behind and reaching forward to what's good. Unlearn and relearn. James, why is that so important?
So, you already talked about the biblical verse in regards to leave and then cleave. God gave me a word a long time ago, more practical. Unlearn and relearn. As a child, as a young adult, and sometimes in the partial stages of being a man or a woman, you learn practically your whole entire foundation from who? Parents and or parent in some situations, from mom or dad, either or, but you learned it from that source. Everything that kept you protected was from those sources, i.e. parents, or that source, mom or dad. Mm-hmm. So you kind of treat their words to a degree like what? The Bible, right? Mm-hmm. I know if I get some money, my dad, you know, if I get some money, I'm going to put 10% up for church, and then I'm going to save 20% over here, and then I'm going to spend, you know, you sit here, you literally take into account everything that you learn, right? And it protected you. It was good for you. And the teaching that your parents gave you, in most cases, was not bad. Mm-hmm. I have to say in most, because there's the sensitive situations where unfortunate things happen. Yeah. But it's not bad teaching. However, in order to leave 100%, especially in the age of marriage, in order to leave, you also have to leave at the door what your parents gave you all your life. Now, I'm not saying brained up everything, but now there's a new person who's came into your life, your wife or your husband. You know, that's for the wives, but it's just like they came into your life, and they also have learned everything from their parents. And guess what you guys start off doing? Y'all start fighting and arguing. That's not right. That's not right. That's not right. Why? Because you're actually weighing out what they have learned versus what you have learned, and you're calling it right and wrong. This is where the unlearning happens. What works for you? The two are now one flesh, which means you need to be one mind, like-mindedness. What works for you? Which means, unfortunately, you have to let go most of the things that parents have taught you and learn what works for you too, and what you're now going to teach your children. And you know what? I'm confident enough to say, in 95% of all parenting, the children did not agree with 100% of what their parents said. You know what I'm going to say? In 100% of parenting, right. Like I'm that confident. Like you didn't agree with 100% of everything of what your parents did and or said. When you now have a wife and the two of you have to be one flesh, and you have to have like-mindedness, fighting and literally saying my parents were better than yours is not like-mindedness. That's literally leaving that at the doorstep and putting on the table what we're going to do, what we are going to structure to be better. That's the unlearning part, and then you relearn that by doing what? By listening.
Listening. Why is listening important?
Listening is a two-part thing. You have to both receive the information and then apply it objectively. These things I say objectively specifically because some people will receive this information and take it literally, but objectively. You want to actually apply it to where it works for both, not just one. Okay? When you take something literally, you're basically applying it for yourself to protect yourself. But the biggest thing in marriage, and then even in courtship, even in courtship, when you know the objective is marriage, you should be unlearning and relearning that one-mindedness. And it's difficult, but when you get there, it's so blissful. I know there's a lot of, like, honest goodness truth, I think about my relationship now, and it's hilarious because
I wish I can.
I've come to talk with you again because a vision softly
it's because I know exactly what she's saying through her facial features.
Wow, nice.
Like I know exactly what she's saying through her facial features, and I can project it. And that comes with literally studying your missus, your wife. You want to study them. One of the best things that I ever read in the Bible is to never forsake the assembly of yourself and study to show thyself approved. The best thing about it is when you're hearing thyself and you're married and the two are one flesh, that means studying your wife and showing that your wife is also approved, which means you need to continuously learn them. Don't ever feel that the learning has ever stopped in a relationship. Ever. You might have her down packed it for like a year, maybe two. And let's say this is like that 25 through 30 year old or 28 through 32 year old phase. You might got her down pat. But guess what? 33, 34, sometimes things change. And sometimes that date place that y'all go to all the time isn't enough. It's not saying that you're boring. It just isn't enough. And sometimes you'll feel distant from one another. That's the perfect time to start relearning and studying your spouse. Husband to wife and wife to husband. Studying them both. One of the funniest arguments that I hear day and day is like some women absolutely can't stand their man who plays video games. And that's hilarious to me. You know, you'll hear the standpoints over here saying like, you know, some men be all combative. At least he's staying in the house and not cheating on you. Hey, you'll hear men who say, at least he ain't staying in the house and not cheating on you, and all that stuff. And then some men are just, you know, they get upset and they frustrated, and then all of a sudden they start going out more because they don't want to hear the arguing for playing the video game. You know what, women? I will encourage you to learn the video games you play and play alongside with them. Like, honest to goodness truth. Like, honest to goodness truth. Learn how to play 2K. Learn how to play Madden. Learn how to play Call of Duty. And then just play with him so the two of you are joined together. You know,
Play with it. I mean, play with them.
No, but it's like, you know, like, the funniest thing is, you know how much more bonding that a person can come through just by accepting somebody else? That even goes with men. Like, I know women who just loves to read or love certain type of movies to watch, and some men just shy away from it. Pick up the same book that she reading and talk about it. Enjoy them, like literally go to the same movies and start learning the movies that show. If she likes to dance, learn how to dance with her. Like, whatever it may be. If she loves to cook, get in the kitchen and wash the dishes or make the side items or something, and then vice versa. Invite yourself into what they love to do, because that's part of studying.
Yeah.
That really is part of studying. Involve yourself inside of it. So it's like, don't find it as an issue. He played the game too much. She always on in that book, or always on that phone, or always on Pinterest trying to learn how to build something. Get her the materials to build something for the house for no reason. You know what I'm saying? Like, play the video games with them, or if he always plays sports or he likes to be active, do it.
So is it like a sharing the common interest?
Yeah. That's still part of the unlearning and relearning part. You know, because guess what? I know parents who said this, a lot of parents, and this here in Milwaukee, a man who plays video games is unproductive. A man who plays video games is lazy. That was a parent who taught their child that, and if a woman sees this, and you spend a lot of time on that video game, you haven't technically unlearned everything. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You're still holding on to some of those teaching. And it's like, once again, I'm not saying all men play video games, but every person, men and women alike, they have something as an outlet to kind of just relax and get away. Part of studying is be a part of their getaway. I'm being honest, be a part of their getaway. But just being involved, because it's a different ball game. It's like you feel included, or like I said, for the women who love to read or whatever else women are into, the music, the dancing, if he indulges himself in it just to enjoy it, what, like, where can the devil come in to intercept that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like a man who plays video games and who does not want his woman to share in that, you're actually allowing the devil to cause separation. If a woman doesn't want her man to join in certain things, you're actually allowing the devil to cause separation. But if you allow that to come in, and I'm not saying men and women need to, I ain't letting you go, you staying right here in me, you know, allow the opportunity for the invite to be there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Hey, you want to come play the game? No, I'm okay. You want to come out to the bar with us? No, I'm okay. As long as that invite is there, where can the devil really come in to intercept it?
Right.
In comparison to, hey, you mind if I come over? No, I don't want you here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's the beautiful thing. So unlearning and relearn, you have to unlearn, leave the mom and dad, and then relearn, i.e. cleave to that wife. Learn, husbands, learn, women, learn the husbands, learn about them, and learn what works for you. That means the two of y'all. It's awesome, man. I'm telling you, that's just a beautiful thing when you think about it.
What keeps people happy in relationships?
God.
God!
That's going to be the first thing that I always say. When you take your marriage vows, it's so help you God. Not so help you Tom or Timothy or Kathy or Karen. Nah, it's so help you God. Not so help my mom or dad, brothers, sisters, uncle, auntie, cousins. It's so help you God. In any marriage, he has to be the foundation. And if you guys don't want to concede to that, I'm going to say these things. The other things that make a relationship happy is truth, communication, understanding, and love. Guess what those four things equal up to? God! All right. That's all I'm going to say, because...
I was not expecting that.
No, because...
Say that again.
No. Truth, communication, understanding, and love is what keeps a relationship happy. And what does that equal up to?
1, 2, 3.
God! No, because it's, you know, God is existent. There's no denying it. God is in everything at every single time, and there's nothing denying it. There's not a single person, like, there's going to be people who want to fight against that, but they can always trace it back to a time where something bad was supposed to happen, or something was supposed to go on, and they were protected from it at one point in time. They just don't want to give people the credit. So, the way God has always put on to me to simplify it is to understand his characteristics.
Yeah.
But just know exactly where it comes from. God is truth. God is understanding. As long as we pray, we are always in communication with him, and he is love. Those are also very four hardcore pillars in any type of happiness and success in relationships, period. Every woman and every man wants a woman who is honest, who can handle and deliver the truth, right?
Yeah.
When it comes to communication, there's not a single woman on this planet who don't want a man to communicate. See, listen, I'm pointing out the women right there. Women know how to talk, and they like to talk, but
Always talking.
But they love that level of communication. Yeah. It's important. That's inclusiveness. When you don't communicate, there's always disconnection. Once again, that lets the devil come in. Understanding. Listen, this is probably the most key cornerstone piece of happiness. Understanding that your way is not always right. It's not always right. It's not always right. You have to understand the other person's point of view, and you have to understand the other person's pain and or miscomfort. If you never understand where they're coming from, you'll never know how to teach them or help them out of that situation. Remember that. If you never understand the other person's point of view, you can never help them out of the situation because you're always going to think they should have just did this. Understand why they did not know they couldn't do it that way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Quick example. I know I always go on tangent, but quick example when it comes to that understanding. One of the most common things, a woman who is in love with sexual immorality, right? She loves sex. She just loves it, right? Instead of looking at her as a whore, understand why she's that way. Could it literally be her trying to protect herself or trying to feel some sort of love? Could it be from some level of molestation that happened inside of her life? It could be a whole different plethora of ways, especially if it's somebody who you're interested in trying to make your wife. Understand that piece so you can help her defeat that particular demon that's feasting on her soul. Understand. And don't judge. Understand. Always have that. And then love. Hey, love never fails. It endures everything.
Yeah.
It never fails. It never breaks. It just never fails. If you say you love somebody and y'all broke up 57 times and have 39 different people in between y'all, is that really love if it never fails? And y'all just not together no more. Can you genuinely say to somebody that you love them and they can do anything to piss you off? Is that really love? Or is that somebody who's just there for you? You know what I'm saying? If love never fails, listen, if love genuinely never fails, that means it has no conditions. You're going to treat that person the same 100% and you're going to be in their corner 100% regardless. Tough love, you know, if they doing something wrong, tough love is tough love, but if he never leaves us nor forsake us and we're the child of him and we claim we love some people, we need to act accordingly. I know it's easier said than done, but we still need to act accordingly. Same rules apply, right? Yeah. That's what makes a relationship happy. Do want to say thank y'all for just tuning in to Relationship 101. Thank you once again. Hopefully we're going to come back with some more information on relationships or any other topics that may come up. Thank God for this opportunity to do it. Hopefully y'all keep looking in. But we appreciate it. Thank y'all. Thank y'all. Thank y'all.
Yeah. Any questions or concerns? Put it down below. We'll definitely talk about it.
Down there.
Down there.
Yeah.
All the way. This up. All the way down here.
They still see a ponytail. It's okay though.
See, man, I'm trying to prove a point. This guy. I'll see y'all later. Peace.
We really hope that you learned something from this. Of course, that you were entertained as well, but also educated on things that we definitely need to know in relationships or for those who have future plans of having it. We do this not for attention, but to bless other people who are in need of it. Far too often we see relationships crumble, even friendships. But now we're more generous to give our experiences or wisdom, advice for people who are in need of it, so that you can succeed in relationships and have a blessed marriage. And now, of course, we present to you the bloopers.
Try to get in closer.
I don't like you like that.
Man, get your.
Well,
I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh, any doo-doo. James, go pick that up.
what?
You gotta try to sit up, James, so you can show that Jamaican. Yeah, that's much better. Is it okay if I can just take my rubber band and just pop one of those birds? I think God will forgive me, you know, just for the sake of, you know.
If you pop one of them, you know they're gonna attack you. So
we're gonna just pause for a moment. I didn't pop the bird. I was just joking, and I wouldn't do that unless I'm being attacked. We ain't gonna talk about those red-winged blackbirds right now. But dude, look, they just dropped.
I hear it too.
Oh, he's feeding them. They're babies.
Oh,
You better get your look. Actually, oh, them babies, they big enough to fly on their own. What is it? Lazy. Ah. Man, that was dope.
What?
I like that. You sweating and stuff.
Praise God, Lord.
Y'all heard that? Yeah. Smell good, don't it?
Nah, I smell like beef stew. A lot of pork.
What?
It is breezy.
Ah.
Look what you did to that flour. I should have picked it out so I could see how wilted it is as soon as you fried it on. I'm about to. Look what he did to this flour.
No, I didn't.
You see how wilted it is around the edges? Fried it. Fried it right on that flour. I tell you.
Oh, wait, there's more!
Oh. That's all I'm gonna say
I
because
was not expecting that.
no, because
Say that again.
no, truth, communication, understanding, and love is what keeps a relationship happy. And what does that equal up to?
1, 2, 3.
God.